and allow them to commit massive welfare fraud and use up a bunch of public services and all that. So I think that obviously any government that you would have is going to do things a lot worse than things would be done in the absence of a government. But what's even worse than having a government, period, is having a government that actively hates you and wants to advantage other people.
That's true. So if the psychopaths are going to be in charge, they might as well benefit us as opposed to those who illegally come across the border. And I don't disagree with all of that. I present that just because that's a lot of the conversations I've had with libertarians have centered around that constitutional aspect of it. And I was just curious, what do you think, Stephen? There was that's a boomer take almost. I felt in there from Zane. Do you feel that that's a boomer take to?
Kind of. So the Democrats missed a prime opportunity to have some signs in the crowd. They could just say, including Israel, and just raise that up. Hey, we need to protect our own citizens, not all those other people, including Israel. But of course they wouldn't do that either because they're also owned by Israel. So that's right. The interesting part. We can't apply that equally. It's just got to
find common ground somewhere.
Yeah, it's just a certain enemy du jour that we get to campaign against. Right now it just happens to be that what is it, 12 million, 20 million? Who knows? It's north of 10 million that they just let in. Which, you said something earlier that, Biden deported more people than Trump. But the interesting part of the Trump numbers is because the way he's branding it, I saw some study recently that there was like 2.5 million that have self-deported in the last year.
No, I think that's the PR strategy. That's why it's effective is you bring out sex doll Kristi Noem and you put a gun on her and they're going to get the hell out. They're just tear it. But the branding of it is a deterrent. So that's it. A lot of this stuff.
Because even as bad as the optics are.
It's
Yeah, what's going on in Minnesota, as bad as those optics are, if I'm a Mexican in Georgia and I see that, I'm going to go, oh, hey, my green card hadn't been renewed yet. I better just go ahead and go back.
Well, the thing about Georgia is that our branding is so good, so we end up with all of the illegal immigrants that will actually do things, and all of the illegal immigrants that are just here to get the preloaded debit cards go to New York and Illinois. See, Mexico is sending their best illegal immigrants to Georgia.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but what's the stereotype though, right? Like white liberals are the ones that are usually above the law, right? Like the mayonnaise is spicy.
Yeah,
they only get warnings for traffic stops. Okay, thank you, officer. And now you see those guys getting beat up and shot in the street. You go, oh, wait a second. If that's happening to the invincible class, I need to go ahead and go home.
Plus, aren't they also giving money to if you voluntarily leave? And so now it comes down to, do I want to get stuck in an ICE detention center, or do I just
give you 70 pesos?
Leave? Which some people are saying that the detention centers are not actually being built, but I'm seeing stories here in Georgia that there's Social Circle.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, they're talking about they're wanting to have 10,000 units, and the city's trying to figure out what they're going to do with water and sewer.
Aren't they claiming that there's some parts of Georgia where I saw it's these Atlanta news on Instagram that it's always a little bit, they're kind of stupid sometimes, and they're like, stories are 2 weeks late. But I saw one the other day that it was like the part of Georgia where illegal immigrants are flooding and taking over. It's worse than Minnesota. And I'm like, I doubt that. But have you guys heard anything about that?
Well, like Stone Mountain. There was a stat just 5 or 6 years ago that. So I think you did something on it, Binkley, when when the Klan had their rally, but they got the permits, and then the Black Panthers showed up and they didn't have a permit.
Yeah, the cops defended the Klan up and stomped Stone Mountain into the dirt.
Yeah, but the cops defended the Klan from the Black Panthers, and that was like a massive PR, just crap storm.
Everything's conflict publicity stunt. It's like if you don't create conflict that gets attention, then you failed.
Yeah.
And that leads to these incidents of violence, unfortunately, often by people who have been conned into going to put their bodies on the line for organizers who are only going to gain politically and financially for convincing groups of people to go act against their own best interest for the service of them under the guise of a lie. That's my perspective on all that. You said something about the signs. Did you guys see the sign that said, "We're not gorillas"?
No.
Yes.
There was a sign.
Yes.
Did it say we're not gorillas or black people aren't gorillas? Because it was talking about that video.
I think it said black people aren't. I think it said black people aren't apes.
Apes.
Yeah,
that's right.
I believe it says
apes.
black. Yeah.
But they have 980 SAT scores apparently, according to
God,
Gavin.
dude.
It was that one guy who it was that one congressman who I think he did something before.
Oh my gosh.
And got
Oh,
thrown out
yeah.
or something.
There it is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this guy.
Captain Sideburns.
I mean, he's got like it's just.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
what
just
is
so
that?
glad that he clarified that.
Thank God. It's like saying end racism at the end of the super. Thank God we got to end it. This shit right here. What an appeal to the lowest common denominator here. People don't watch all the video. That video that he shared. The assumption is automatically that Trump must be racist and he must have watched all of it. An alternative explanation is when you watch the video, it's a voter fraud video. And then at the very last second, somebody popped this in. And Trump is the president, and maybe he watched it all and liked it, and he's using that as a cover. Or maybe he saw part of it, or somebody else saw part of it, and they shared it because of the voter fraud stuff. I think there can be competing explanations, but it just gives people like this. He probably raised money off of that shit. All right, we're on to the next video here.
Sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country. And you should be ashamed of yourself.
I just have to say, I don't care who it is, heckling someone in the middle of an important speech is just the most classless, most immature thing that I think people do, and it annoys me so much.
And yet it's pre-planned publicity stunt. They were talking about how they were going to do this beforehand. They were talking about how they were going to intentionally cause a disruption. Some of them walk out. And I did a show last week where I was going through all of the planned publicity stunts that there, because it's like the PR stunt Super Bowl is what this has become for everyone, because that's where the eyes of America are paying attention for the most part, and you can really pump in those fundraising dollars by just doing something stupid that people who identify with you will be like, yeah, that's me. I would be yelling at him like that, and she's speaking my voice. So I agree with you. I hate it, and I think it's dumb, but he could have said, I love Ilhan Omar. I don't care about her incestual things. Is that alleged? I don't care. I'm a little incestual. I love it. And she still would have booed because that was the plan all along. And like, I don't know. It is very frustrating to watch those things because they bring in these political props that are people who have gone through very tragic things. And then they present them in like a circus showcase, It's like they ride them out on an elephant next to a clown car, and they say, this person was raped, their family member was raped and stabbed. And it's like, I feel empathy for these people, but the whole circus stunt of it to benefit politicians is kind of disgusting to me. What do you think of the stunt by Elon or Mar, whatever? I don't even know how to say her name, Nick. What do you think of it?
Yeah, well, she thrives off of getting attention like that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's always looking for the next thing. So of course she was gonna take her time and get the cameras on her. I agree with Zane as far as like, come on, let's not heckle during the speech here. Like, go out there, defend defend your points, like be civil when it's like this, but
right.
But some people can't. Like, I remember back at the
convention,
at the LP convention when Trump was speaking, and people immediately started the booing, and it's like, guys, like,
dude,
let's be civil here, hear him out. Like, I was sitting there, and yeah, there were points where like, a little bit of like negative feedback from the crowd is a good thing. You say something, then you give the negative feedback, like, no, that wasn't good.
Go ahead.
But then when he says something like, I'm going to free Ross Ulbricht, then you give the positive reinforcement. Right. And then that's how you, as a crowd, should do it. But you had some of these autists out there who just can't get over their Trump derangement syndrome and just had this scream and yell and act like animals the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll even kind of defend what happened at the LP convention over what happened here, because it's like, in that kind of environment, you're expecting to get some kind of reaction from the crowd.
It was a hostile environment he came into.
It can either be like cheering, or it can be booing, or and if in the midst of a bunch of boos, someone yells out a word or two, I don't think that's like that crazy. What's absolutely crazy is when you think that you're gonna like start having a discussion with the guy speaking in the middle of his speech. Like from what she was doing there, it was like she expects the people on TV and Trump to like hear her complete sentences. And then I guess for him to like respond to it or something, it's like, shut up. You're not the one talking right now.
Yeah.
We're not gonna listen. We don't want to listen to you.
Well, just wait. We're less than 20 years away from having a stand-up comedian for a president, probably, and that's
Vladimir Zelensky.
There will be crowd work when that happens. Like that.
This is the
Trump
perfect
is great
analogy because it's the equivalent of someone in the crowd saying that they're really funny and they're gonna have an extended interaction with the comedian, and the comedian's like, "Shut the heck up!
Come up here,
You're
then?
so stupid."
I would have loved to have seen Trump react like a stand-up comedian. Go, okay, everybody, you want to have something? How about this? We'll talk about what you want to say right now. If you take off the turban, take the turban off, and you can come up on stage, and we'll have a discussion. Get your husband on the phone. Let's talk about your genealogy. Just take the turban off. Let's talk genealogy. See, that would be, if we're going to take it to the cartoonish level of political stunts, let's go there. Because we're never going to have probably a better president who can be a stand-up comedian roast comic who can own people in the crowd than Donald Trump. And let's utilize that skill instead of trying to get him to stay on script in those situations, which they did. The part where he said, these people are crazy, that was apparently written into the teleprompter, allegedly.
Well, those people are crazy.
What's the Japanese parliament? What do they call it? Is that the Diet?
Yeah, it's the Diet.
Okay.
I thought that was the Russian.
Okay. Well, whatever the Japanese parliament, like it turns into WrestleMania. Like they actually have like fist fights. Like they throw shoes at each other, which I
thought that was Taiwan.
I remember Bush getting a shoe thrown at him. But the classic one was when Obama.
That dude's doing well though.
And that one guy in the front row with Obama, like, you lied. And like everyone's like, get this guy out of here.
He's doing well, Nick, this guy?
The guy who threw the shoe at Bush, I think Scott Horton had him on like 2 years ago.
And this is the incentive structure, right. Especially right now, even more so than then, is you do something crazy, even if it's terrible, and everybody's like, what a terrible person. You are then promoted oftentimes financially and with attention and an increasingly growing follower count on certain social media platforms. And so that's something that I can't stand that. I can't stand that the incentive is to just be an extreme douchebag on all these social media platforms. And that's like an early example of it almost. You know, I did talk about that. We found out that it's like $5,000 to get in. We thought it was $500. What I'm definitely going to do is I'm going to pretend to run against them if I don't find another way in, and I'm going to make campaign ads. I have a bunch of people that are going to help me. So, and I'm going to do publicity stunts. I'm not going to throw a shoe. I'm ironically going to throw a shoe at John Ossoff. And I'm going to make some ads that'll get attention because I do have a lot of information about him that Democrats don't know. So, unfortunately, I'm being oppressed by the high entry to compete. And so we got to go rogue with it, but kind of yes to that. So, moving on to the next subject. Oh, God. Hillary Clinton, in this case. Well, Bill Clinton's appearing tomorrow for in front of the House Oversight Committee. Hillary Clinton testified today. I actually have not seen what she said during that testimony. I have an idea because she kind of teased it out on social media. Bill is going to be testifying tomorrow. And I'll do a really brief thing to get you guys' reaction because I did send at the suggestion of people who listen to my show because I've been talking about this for a while, and somebody said, why don't you contact them and tell them what you know and see if they actually ask the question. The question, Bill Clinton has been saying he didn't know anything about Epstein's organization, and he didn't know the horrific crimes he described it. He stopped contact with him in 2006, he said, after Epstein was arrested, and yet in a 2007 plea negotiation letter, which is available. It's funny. It's available in the Epstein files, redacted. It's been available on Pacer for 10 years. I've been covering this document for 10 years. One of the reasons I got kicked off WSB my website's gotten taken down for putting this document on there. And the reason I've been focusing on it is because there's 5 specifically named people in this plea negotiation letter whose reputation and power are leveraged to say, give our boy Epstein a deal because look who his friends here are. And there's only 5 people that were chosen to use the force of their names. And Bill Clinton was one of them. The other 4 are like Epstein scientists. But that document was written July 6, 2007, sent to the federal prosecutors by Dershowitz and Epstein's lawyers. July 31st of that year, the federal prosecutors had a meeting with Epstein's lawyers, and they offered them a deal shortly after that. And then fast forward to September of 2007, and that's when the deal was signed. So it very much looks like a document, a plea negotiation letter that is in court records, that Bill Clinton's name was leveraged multiple times to get Epstein that sweetheart deal for crimes Clinton himself recently called horrific, after also saying he had no involvement in the case. He had no involvement in the prosecution. He had involvement in the defense. And 4 other guys, nobody else, and then that deal is made. Bill Clinton should be asked about this. He might respond, I didn't know, to which you would say, in my opinion, is it typical for a defense attorney to include a former president in the defense for a plea letter for sex crimes to help him go from life in prison to 13 months slap on the wrist, and for the prosecutors to not verify that he's okay with that? And if you're going to say, no, you don't know, why didn't you say anything after? Why didn't you stand up and say, I don't approve of my name being used to literally help Jeffrey Epstein get what people call the most corrupt plea deal of all time? I've said too much. Zane, what are your thoughts on this story?
I mean, what is there even more to say on this entire topic except that we're literally governed by pedophiles? I mean, what could come out that would be shocking at this point after everything? It's like everybody has already so thoroughly assumed the conclusion that's like, even if we did get the Epstein list, which I am inclined to agree with Jake that we almost certainly never will, but even if we did, I feel like the general public is already so kind of burned out from it, and like everyone who cares about this already believes it anyway, that I just don't like. We could get the list, and I don't think that anyone would start thinking about it any differently than they already do now.
Right. But that's exactly why I harp on this document with Clinton, is because a lot of the stuff that come out is speculation that can't be corroborated or verified. This is a court document. It's a plea letter that was written by his attorneys and approved, and it led shortly thereafter to this deal happening. It's not like Bill Clinton can deny that his name is in there multiple times, or that it's used in the context of, hey, get our boy out. And so I don't like going into all the rumors and stuff, because if I can't prove them, but this can be proven, and Bill Clinton has literally never been asked about his inclusion into this. And so if we're going to be serious about an investigation, then ask him the question. If he has an explanation that makes sense, I'll accept it, but somebody freaking ask him the question is all that I'm concerned with. But you're right about the list, though. It's like the whole thing is used to like keep people. It's like a scavenger hunt, you know, where people just search for the things that confirm their biases, and then if they get tired of that, here's the alien files. You know what I mean? Nick, what are your thoughts on Hillary Clinton and Bill on separate days, behind closed doors, not in front of the? I agreed with him that I would have liked to seen it be transparent, but testifying to the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah. Well, one, you mentioned the alien thing. Didn't Trump just tried that one again?
Yeah.
Right. Just the other day over one of these issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, with it being behind closed doors, so we don't know what was said. And if I didn't pay attention, I didn't look too much into this today. But I did catch something that I guess that it was stopped for a while because a picture leaked from inside.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Lauren Boebert.
Was she topless?
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry.
So maybe we'll find out a little bit of what went on there. But yeah, when you're doing it behind closed doors, that's not transparency. There's a lot of questions. You bring it up. I mean, you know, I think you keep harping on the $1 million question with, you know, why was your name, you know, to Bill Clinton, why was your name used in this plea negotiation letter. I mean, you've got the plea letter, you've got the letter that got him the sweetheart deal. You had the prosecuting attorney say that he was told to back off because he belongs to intelligence. You know, there's a whole lot there to go digging in on that would be nice to at least have something on record, even that, you know, even though it's likely going to be bullshit. And we know how Bill Clinton gets when he testifies. You
He's
know,
going to spin stuff.
he's going to spin it. You know, he's going to question what the definition of is.
Right.
You know,
And,
he's a slimy lawyer, and he knows how to get around on that. So
he's got a silver tongue for sure. And I wonder, you know, it hadn't even crossed my mind to email the House Oversight Committee or any of the members or call them, which I called them and I recorded it today, and they didn't answer. They said, if you want to talk to the majority House members or whoever's answering the phones, you know, press 1. I did, and I as quickly as I could sum this up, and it was like, you have 10 seconds left. I was like, I tried to spit it out, and then I emailed them on their whistleblower contact form, just to say that I did it. And if they actually respond, if they actually asked him about that, I would be like, great. Even if his explanation was acceptable and explained it away, I would be grateful that they actually pursued something worth pursuing. But I wonder, do they even know about stuff like this? Are they? I feel like a lot of them have no idea actually about a lot of the real details of things like this, and they're not all knowing people in power. They're kind of idiots who are good at PR and good at spinning things, who maybe aren't incentivized to be truthful. Stephen, what do you think about this testifying?
I mean, tying them to the Epstein files, you know, that might be a little difficult. I haven't actually sifted through all the Epstein files myself either. I know there's some online, you know, databases that you can go
3
search.
million documents.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Ian Carroll just put together some kind of AI bot thing that
It's great.
it's supposed to be pretty good. You can like ask it a question in like 100 different languages and it'll give you an answer.
If it's anything like Ian, it will jump to enormous conclusions, is what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, but a lot of the damning evidence on the Clintons was on her email server.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that from 2015, 2016? Yeah. And then just magically disappeared from the server room in Kennesaw State University where they tally our votes here in Georgia.
Oh, that was Kennesaw State? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, Kennesaw State had it they had it you know, behind a locked room, sequestered in the same area where they count our votes on election night.
It was like a flood, the Fulton County thing.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, your boy, Secretary of State Brian Kemp, just let it go by the wayside, and he got promoted to governor right after that. Oddly enough, you know, the same guy that leaked all of our voter information on a CD-ROM while he was in office.
CD-ROM, that sounds so funny.
Right. You know, there's a CD-ROM that ran around that had all the voter information for the state of Georgia. So, hey, while we're trying to depose them, let's go back in the way back and look in that old server, because that did get leaked before, you know, it actually got disappeared. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in that. You know, if you want to get into like the whole, all the keywords of the Epstein stuff, you know, like walnut sauce and grape soda.
You can search anything, right? It's like about putting together your search terms in this thing. Because you used to not be able to search these things. They'd be individual JPEG files, so you had to read them all. But they were like, let's make them searchable and flood the zone.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, because that was all stuff tying it to Obama back in, you know, because Obama and the Clintons were all hanging out, having what, $24,000 worth of hot dogs delivered to their hot tub while they were hanging out. Like, what is that all about? You know, I don't know what's going to be in the Epstein files, because that, you know, they're probably smart enough to have plausible deniability with their associations with a guy like that, because they're running their own scheme.
No, there's a lot of schemes going on.
I mean, they
crossover with the alien stuff too. Like you're mentioning the old file, like I'm thinking about Podesta and the WikiLeaks things.
Yeah.
So Podesta is going to show up in the alien files. They're all going to be kind of interconnected, and people are going to be. It's fun to go on a conspiratorial, scavenger hunt and connect dots across all these different file groupings, and it's easy to get caught up in coming to conclusions that maybe aren't as fully supported by evidence, but might get you more attention on social media.
And I know a lot of folks like to lean back on that, the painting of, you know, Bill in the dress, and, you know, and he's pointing, you know, that Epstein had on the wall. That was a commissioned painting. That artist has actually come out and said, like, hey, he hired me to do those paintings.
Yeah.
So that's not like any
first. So he hired him specifically to do that painting, or he painted it and that guy like bought it, or Epstein bought it. I mean,
Epstein like specifically requested he paint, like, hey, this is the scene I want you to paint.
That's funny.
Paint this for me.
It's interesting.
Same thing with Bush, flying the airplane into the Jenga towers.
Yeah.
Yeah. He asked this guy to paint that for him. So I guess that was back before memes were popular.
Totally normal guy.
Normal
and you're
stuff.
a loser if you're not in the Epstein files. I don't know if you guys saw that clip from the British woman who used to date Prince Andrew, but you're a loser if you're not in the files. You can't get a reservation at a good restaurant because you're not in the Epstein files, apparently. You guys saw that clip, right?
He was a power broker, and that's the other thing that's important to remember is that just being named in those files doesn't mean anything. It just meant that you either had money or you had power or you had influence.
Exactly right. Lauren Boebert gets off on leaking privates in public, says Cheddar Cheese. Yeah, I think so. I think that is one of her strongest skills, and Kid Rock, I think, might be able to attest to that. Yeah. All right, so now is the time of the show where I get destroyed at trivia. And are we going to move into Libation Nation trivia now, Zach? All right, Libations trivia. I want to say that last week I do appreciate Jake catering trivia literally towards me, which I still almost lost.
I'm glad I stand a chance this week with Zane trivia versus Georgia Tech trivia and volleyball.
That's funny. Jake's questions were like, Brad, what is in your car right now? And I'm like, fuck, I can't remember. Damn it.
Wait, the answer wasn't sex toys?
I mean, it's funny you should say that because that's actually true. Because with Jake, I went to Dragon Con and offered a bunch of Democrats cock rings and black penis straws in a White Dudes for Harris shirt. And ever since then, I've been trying to give away the black penis straws. And so I just keep them in my car, and anybody who I think might want it, I'll ask them, or I'll just leave them in random places for people to discover, which I have found that people do discover, and they post about it online. And that's a source of pride. So, yes, I do have something that I bought from a sex store in my car. Zane would have gotten that point, and I wouldn't have gotten that point. That's my whole point right there.
Well, those little things that you get at Starbucks that you like put them into the hole in the top of the cup before you drink it so that the coffee doesn't like spill out the top. Yeah. That sounds like a great use for those things.
Yeah, you just gotta make this hole a little wider. Is what you have to tell. There's a black penis straw. We're not talking a white penis straw here. Okay.
So it's a venti.
Welcome everyone to another week of Libations trivia. As usual, we have trivia for you in 3 rounds. Round 1 is 8 questions, 1 point each. Round 2 is 6 questions, 2 points each. And round 3 is 4 questions, 3 points each. Our contestants here will answer by writing their answer down on a piece of paper. If you are in the audience, I will be keeping an eye on the comments. Please comment your answer, and I will take the first one that is not obviously a joke. Tonight's categories. Round 1, songs to move to. Round 2, last week we had a topic on Georgia Tech football, and I could not let that stand. So round 2 is UGA football. And round 3, numbers. Question 1. Round 1, songs to move to. So for most of these, I will be giving you a song lyric and the name of the song, and you will tell me the artist. Question 1. When all you got to keep is strong, move along like I know you do. From the song Move Along, 2005, Rock.
So are we naming the song?
No, the song's name is Move Along. You're giving me the band.
Okay.
Audience has it already. Grumpy Gnome asks why he keeps hearing the word song. THONG, and the answer is because I have a lisp. When I was in preschool, I had to go to speech therapy for it, but it didn't really work. So, anyway,
Yeah,
Brad.
you feel like shit, Grumpy, after that bullshit. So, can you see this? Can you tell what that says?
No.
Let me make
No.
sure. Yeah. Okay, it's a Dixie Dicks. Is that or Dixie Chicks?
Steven,
1,000-foot crutch.
Nick.
All American Rejects.
Oh, all right.
Nick's got it. It is the All American Rejects.
It took me forever to come to that. I was like, I know this song, I just couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Question 2. There's something in the way you move, something in the way you do it, something in the way you move. Oh, oh. From the song Something in the Way You Move, 2015, Pop. I love just saying song lyrics in a regular voice because it sounds very strange.
Oh yeah, the OO was the chef's kiss.
Oh,
right there.
oh. Yes.
Yeah, you got to use it in regular conversation, and then see who eventually says, "Is that a song lyric?"
There's something in the way you move, Brad.
Shut up. Stop it.
All right. Brad, what you got?
Taylor Swift.
Steven?
Pitbull.
Nick?
Justin Bieber.
Audience also says Justin Bieber, but it is Ellie Goulding.
Oh, wow. That person I've never heard of.
Exactly.
And
Question 3. They got all the right moves and all the right faces, so yeah, we're going down. From the song All the Right Moves, 2009, pop rock. The audience says that my rendition of WAP would be better than Ben Shapiro's. Thank you very much.
I got this one. This one's easy.
All right, Brad,
It's Yay, obviously.
Steven,
It's a Yay song.
Fall Out Boy.
Nick,
Maroon 5.
audience might be back on a bit of a delay, so I'll keep an eye out. But this would be One Republic. Question 4.
Yeah.
I know where I am found, so I won't let it drag me down. No, I'll keep dancing anyway. I'm gonna move, move. I'm gonna move, move. I'm gonna move. From the 2010 song Move, in the genre of contemporary Christian.
Really contemporary Christian. Interesting.
And audience did get the last one there.
It sounds very scandalous for a contemporary Christian song.
Well, it's not worship music, but
What's the fat guy with the face tattoos? I guess it's not Jelly Roll. It can't be Jelly,
Jelly Roll?
He can't move. He can't move, so that's not him. Contemporary Christian.
let's reverse the order this time. Nick,
I'm going with The Movers.
Steven,
Plum.
Brad,
Justin Bieber.
audience says Alabaster Box, but this is Mercy Me.
You guys heard of Rich Mullins? He says, "Our God is an awesome God."
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah.
It's the only Christian song I know. I was in his movie. I played a priest when they made a movie about him. So there's
Oh,
some
cool.
trivia.
Who let you play a priest?
That's a good question. I won't out his name, but I was a priest who was inspired by his rock and roll nature of Christianity. Not a priest, a preacher. That'd be weird if I was a priest. Thank you. Like a preacher. It's definitely two different things.
All right. Question 5. MOVE. I love it. Yeah, I love it when you get that deed. Boots on, stomp your feet. It's like you've been waiting on me to move like you do. From the 2015 song Move, in the genre of country.
It sounds just like the Christian song, actually, with a move.
I bet it was written by the same people.
Let's see. I think I noted it.
Right or
Brad.
wrong, I can hear this guy.
I
singing
think
the
I don't think
blues.
this is. I think it's my second instinct, but Jason Alden is what I wrote.
Steven,
Luke Bryan.
Yeah.
Nick.
I said Luke Bryan also. Seems like a Luke
Audience
Bryan
also
song.
says Luke Bryan. That is correct.
You guys trust your second instinct sometimes.
Georgia boys represent.
Question 6. And it seems such a waste of time. If that's what it's all about, Mama, if that's moving up, then I'm moving out. From the song Moving Out, 1977.
Can you sing it for us, like, so we can?
And it seems such a waste of time. If that's what it's all about, Mama, if that's moving up, then I'm moving out.
Okay. I know what the fuck is.
Brad,
I don't know. It's right there, but I don't know what it is.
Steven,
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Nick.
Led Zeppelin.
Audience has it because it is Billy Joel.
God, it's a fact.
Oh shit!
Billy Joel. I like piano, man. I'll give him that.
See, when you sang it, it sounded familiar, and I just couldn't place it.
Which is, yeah.
Question
Just
7.
shouting like Democrat talking points, like he would have helped.
You want the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger from the song Moves Like Jagger, 2010 pop rock.
I have actually led a Zumba class to this song.
Led a Zumba class, not just participated.
Oh, yeah, I was the leader.
I wouldn't follow anyone else in a Zumba class.
There you go.
Brad,
Bieber.
Steven,
Maroon 5.
Oh god.
Nick.
Yeah.
Maroon 5.
Audience also has it. Now is the time for Maroon 5. All right. Question 8 is a little bit
But can I
different.
ask,
I'm
were they
gonna-
involved in the killing of Charlie Kirk because of the maroon shirts? I think that's valid.
I'll have to look into this. All right. Question 8. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move. You like to move it. Name the 2005 film featuring a cover of I Like to Move It performed by Sacha Baron Cohen.
It was performed by Sacha Baron Cohen. Didn't know that.
It makes sense now that I hear that.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Brad,
Borat.
Steven,
Madagascar.
Nick.
Madagascar.
The audience also says Borat, but it is Madagascar.
Well, fuck you guys then. Have you guys seen him try to get Trump in one of his stunts like way back? There's like a video of him and Trump didn't fall for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's up in, yeah.
All right. At the end of round 1, we've got audience in the lead with 5, Nick with 4, Steven with 3, and Brad with 0.
Yeah, I play by golf rules, you guys. I play by golf rules.
Well, then I'm in second. Coming for you.
Round 2, UGA football. Question 1. Since 1956, the live mascot of the University of Georgia has been an English bulldog with what name? The current mascot, the 11th of his name, began his duties in 2023 and has won 2 SEC championships so far.
Even I know that one. Who's got the police coming for him? Is that you, Zane?
Zane, it sounds like.
Cops are coming over these blatantly biased against me questions.
Brad,
Ugga.
Steven,
Ugga.
Nick,
Same thing.
That's great.
Audience also has it, although they spelled it with 2 G's.
Yeah.
But it is
So I can get the ones that everybody knows. That's for sure.
Question
It's a cute
2.
dog.
Georgia's first ever mascot was Sir William, who appeared at the first ever Georgia-Auburn game in 1892. What kind of animal was Sir William?
Probably. I mean, I would assume a rapist if I had to guess. I'm just offhand. Somebody who speeds down, through campus.
Brad?
A British fag is my answer.
Steven?
A horse.
That's
Nick?
probably it.
I'm going with a buffalo because I have no idea.
It's probably a horse.
And I thought horse, but I thought that they got to do something a little more interesting if I'm going to get it wrong.
Audience says bulldog, but Sir William was a goat.
A goat. God, and that's exactly what UJ players like to sleep with.
I didn't know you were Pakistani.
Yeah, well, I'm not. It's just what Kirby recruits Pakistani exclusively. I hate UGA. I don't know why. That's my propaganda. That's what I'm brainwashed in. Is to like the worst team on the planet, Georgia Tech. I'm sorry. This is not even. It's like reflective. I can't help it.
Question 3. Georgia's football stadium is named for what man? He was instrumental in the construction of the stadium in 1928 and the formation of the Southeastern Conference in 1932 during his time as dean and president of the university. Last name only is acceptable. Audience says Paul Feinbaum, who I heard Paul Feinbaum was like briefly considering running for Senate or something, but
How old is
alas,
he?
I don't know. He's probably in his 60s.
So it can't be him. Unless he was a baby.
All right, Brad,
I just took a shot. Brown. It's pretty generic enough.
Steven,
Bobby Dodd.
Nick.
Yeah, I couldn't bring it up, so I said John Fetterman. Now that Steven says it, now I remember that Steven says it.
Okay, so the audience also says Bobby Dodd. However, that would have been an appropriate answer last week because that's the name of Georgia Tech's football stadium.
Yeah.
Georgia's football stadium is named after Stedman Sanford.
What the fuck?
Sanford,
I didn't connect
okay,
that.
I knew
fucking
that,
knew
yeah.
that shit. I'm gonna kill myself.
Wow.
Question 4. The field inside Sanford Stadium is, as of 2019, named for what other man who was head coach of the Bulldogs from 1964 to 1988 and athletic director until 2004?
And son's running for office, right? And I only can remember his name. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Brad,
Vince Dooley.
Steven,
Jim Mora.
Nick.
John Fetterman.
Audience says Nick Saban. Possibly the first time ever, Brad is the only person to get this one right. It is Vince Dooley.
Wow.
This is my moment in glory right here.
Yeah.
It's like a one.
It is with Bulldog trivia.
Jackets.
Brad's on the board.
Question 5. What man, the king of soul himself, demonstrated his loyalty to Georgia football by releasing the single Dooley's Junkyard Dogs in 1975 to commemorate the team's excellent defense? Brad.
Fuck is that guy? It's not Rick James. It's the other black guy.
There's only 2.
Steven.
James Brown.
That's
Nick.
it. Yeah.
Bobby Brown. I don't know. Something in there.
I love Bobby
Something
Brown.
Brown.
Well, Nick, Had you only said Brown, that would have been right. But because you had that in a first name that was wrong, you get no points. It is James Brown.
James Brown. Yeah.
Whatever.
If it makes you feel any better, the audience just did the same exact thing because the audience says Millie Bobby Brown.
No, she's a great black person.
What can Brown do for you?
I knew that one too. I just couldn't pinpoint it in my brain.
All right. Question 6. The last line of Glory Glory, Georgia's fight song, is officially Georgia. However, especially on rivalry weekend, this is often replaced with what denunciation of a rival team? Brad?
This is wrong, but this is what they should do. Geour gay.
Wow. Clever. Steven?
I have no idea.
Nick?
SUCKIT.
No, all good and creative ideas, but it is to hell with Georgia Tech.
Do they really do? I didn't know that. I always thought it was gay that Tech did that to Georgia. I had no idea they also did that.
Well,
like,
specifically, whoever we're playing that day will say to hell with, and then
to them. Oh, so you
put
guys
them
don't
in
do it
there, but-
when you're playing other teams like Tech does?
Wait, even when Tech plays other teams,
Yes,
you
even
still
when they
say
play
to hell
other
with
teams,
Georgia?
they say to hell with Georgia. And I just put
All
my
right,
hand,
that's
my face
lame.
in my hand. I'm just like, guys, this is so gay. But like, I should get a point for create. They should do GEOR, you are gay, and then I think that would be very controversial.
All right. At the end of round 2, we've got Brad with 4, Nick with 6, Steven and the audience both with 7.
Anyone's game.
Ball game. It's anybody's ball game.
That's right.
Round 3, numbers. So the answer to all of these is a number, and as usual with all my number questions, if no one gets it exactly right, then whoever gets closest to the number will get the point.
Okay.
Question 1. The number of lily pads in a pond doubles each day. After 50 days, the pond is entirely covered. After how many days was the pond half covered? Brad?
Hold on. 10. I'm going to guess with a time constraint.
Steven?
49.
Nick?
Probably closer to that.
49.
Audience also says 49. You would all do great at a job interview. It is 49.
I don't do job interviews.
Question 2. Between the 66 canonical Old and New Testament books, how many total verses are in the Bible? Brad?
333.
Steven?
10,000.
Nick?
7,420.
All right, the audience says 923. The correct answer is 31,102, which I think means Steven gets the point.
That's what I was gonna. That was the thing I wrote down first.
Yeah.
Kimberly's not going to be here. I think that's somebody referring. I think because I linked it to my show. She's not going to be here tonight.
Question 3. In what year did Alaska and Hawaii become states?
Problem is, it was before I was born,
True.
and after after Jesus rose again.
Also true.
It's in between those two parameters. I'm going to say, I think I got an idea.
You really narrowed it down there.
I just want to help people. I'm trying to help the audience because they can't really, kind of stupid, I think.
Well, the audience says 53.
Just
So,
the year 53 AD.
the year
That's not a good
53.
answer. That's not a good answer. Put
Yeah.
that in.
All right, Brad,
1967.
Steven,
1952.
Nick.
1954.
Nick gets the point. It is 1959.
No.
Gosh, yeah, it's close. That's kind of crazy because it's been there our entire lifetime. But
my dad was born before then, so
it's probably still adjusting to that addition.
Yeah. Well, and that was some Barry Goldwater caught running for president because Arizona wasn't a state when he was born in it, and they were the natural born citizen thing
When was
kicking
he born? What year? Do you know?
Let me see.
He probably died in the 90s or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Yeah, 1909. He was born in Arizona.
Well, that's crazy. Arizona wasn't a state then.
No,
I had
what?
no idea.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What dollar amount was in the title of the CBS program The Blank Dollar Question, a 1950s quiz show that was canceled along with several others? When it was revealed, producers had rigged outcomes to improve ratings.
See, I think Mulder got it wrong because that's my own experience is Mulder saying it in X-Files.
Brad,
$65,000 question.
Steven,
$10,000 question.
Nick,
$10,000 question.
Brad has it. It is the $64,000 question.
What?
Thank you, Mulder.
Which means at the end of trivia, we've got Brad with 7, the audience was 10, Nick was 12, and Steven was 13.
Good, congratulations.
Steven wins.
Yeah! Lucky 13.
I will hunt you down. All right, that's great. So, I always learn new things during the trivia. I learn so much about what I don't know or never knew, and what I really learned the most about is how little I know about modern music. I realized I stopped listening to new music like right after I was born, apparently, because I'm just I don't know any of these songs ever.
Yeah.
At all.
Nothing after 2010 registers with me.
Yeah.
See, I don't know any music
Unless it's
from
Ball with
before
the Ball,
2010.
Early Greenwood, I'm not listening to it. All right. That's all, Him in jean shorts and God bless America. Okay, so what are we moving on to now? We're going to be talking about Iran's uranium. There was a post somebody tagged Massey in it. It said, I think the quote.
That's Dave Benner,
Massey's.
friend of the show.
Oh, that is a friend of the show, Dave Benner? Great. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
friend of
so
the show,
thank you,
Dave Benner.
Dave. We should just let Thomas Massey say it. I won't read the quote, but he's talking about, that shit.
And by the way, I think historically, when we look back at the Epstein scandal, it's going to be bigger than Watergate. And it's going to be, by the way, the president didn't go to jail. The attorney general did. It's going to be bigger than Iran-Contra. And here's why. It spans 4 administrations. It's deeper than any political thing on the surface. And so I think in terms of the number of people who are affected, how many people were affected by Iran-Contra, okay, or Watergate? Specifically in that instance. Obviously, everybody's affected when there's a lack of transparency and bad or fraudulent things happening. But directly affected or implicated that was a finite group of people in both of those. Here we have what seems to be almost an infinite number of people involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And at least we don't even know yet how many there were in the criminal enterprise or the seedy part of it. And it's like that Spider-Man meme where there's 6 Spider-Man, they all look the same and they're pointing at each other. You've got all these billionaires pointing at each other. You're in the Epstein. No, you're in the Epstein. No, you are in the Epstein. It's you who is in the Epstein files. And you're the one who went to the island. I didn't go to the island. Anyways, there's sort of this circular finger pointing that's going on. But I think it's a scandal that is longer in time, involved multiple administrations, and that's why we have to get to the bottom of it.
I have to say, Massey looks like he just walked into like a Applebee's, and the guy was like, "Could you please tell us about where he's standing there?" And I like Thomas Massey, and I do understand the incentive to be not nuanced at all. It does disappoint me a little bit, though, that there's nuances that he either he doesn't know about or he is unconcerned with because nobody wants to get into the weeds of the stuff, and he if you're a conspiracy theorist, when he points out the thing about Nixon and Watergate, it's going to be bigger than Watergate. Well, you can't be a conspiracy theorist and point out that Watergate was a little bit of a setup. And as someone who kind of positions himself to conspiracy theorists and libertarian community, but definitely conspiracy theorists right now love him. It just, while I do like him, it makes me, it raises my guard of skepticism towards him when he's kind of playing to what I perceive to be kind of the lowest common denominator. When there's real questions to be asked, a lot of these people are lawyers. Lawyers ask real questions. They get in the weeds. But people who are trying to maximize their exposure on various social media and maybe run for president do not do that. And I'm glad he's called attention to it. But also, the reason that people liked you before is because of you would go into the areas of nuance that others would not. What did you think about his statement there, Zane?
I mean, I think you are kind of asking too much of people if you're saying that the lowest common denominator is people that don't realize that Nixon was set up during Watergate. Like, I think that's obviously a good piece of information for people to know, but that's not commonly known information. And for the purpose of talking about how big of a scandal the Epstein files are, I don't think is really even a relevant. I mean, it would be tangentially relevant, but it's not directly relevant to saying, okay, what's the biggest political scandal that people traditionally would think of? Oh, it's Watergate. And I'm saying this is even bigger than that. And I don't think it requires this deep discussion of the Watergate actually being a setup to communicate the idea that this is actually a big scandal and people are going to be talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, I get the comparison to communicate that scandal on a surface level, but that's not what I meant about the lowest common denominator. I meant that he's smart. He's campaigning. And this is something I wouldn't be good at. Is that these people are good at is they're going to hit the talking points that are easiest right now to spark a conversation and rally support. And it doesn't rally much support to say, well, some of those victims are like really old and they're there was hashtag Me Too where there's real victims. There's people who jump on and say they're real victims, which kind of takes away from the credibility of the actual victims and takes away from the people taking investigations seriously at a legal level. And it's a little bit of a similar thing with some of that. And he goes on the congressional floor and he names names, which I'm glad that he does stuff like that. Like, I do appreciate that. But also, it just looks like he doesn't do a lot of vetting of some of these people who he seems more concerned with me with, I'm going to be the guy who demands the Epstein files come out, regardless of some of the nuance and some of the grifters that are kind of latching onto it. And I understand that you can't weed through all that bullshit, but you're right. That is asking too much of him. The Nixon comparison, most people don't know about that, but he does. And in the conspiratorial community, everybody who loves him right now absolutely does. And that's the reason I say something, because I know all the people on X who are celebrating that are ignoring the thing that they talk about all the fucking time when it comes to Nixon and Watergate. And I'm like, okay, we can compartmentalize. And look, I'm somebody who is definitely, I will say something, and my friends on the right will go, hell yeah, and my friends on the left will go, that's bullshit, you Nazi, and then I'll say something the next minute where my friends on the right will go, you fucking faggot communist, and my friends on the left, I'll be like, you don't make any friends by being nuanced, but I like Massey. I don't like that he sometimes seems to be influenced by the social media algorithm, in my opinion. I could be wrong. What do you think, Stephen?
Yeah, there's a way to do this. There's a way to do it properly, and you're right. And he is using it as leverage to, get attention, and that's the part where it's going off the rails. And I like what he's doing. I like what he has done overall. Yeah. The attention that he's brought to the files, but the whole like, hey, if your name appeared, I'm going to read it off of this list, because they're like a mechanic in New York that lost his job and all that. Like, the guy was picked out in a lineup. Like there was a lineup of like, hey, you look like the actual suspect, even though he wasn't. His name was in the Epstein files. And
a guy in New York was picked out of a lineup because Massey said somebody's name in the Epstein files.
His name was in the Epstein files. Thomas Massey read it on the floor of the house, and this guy was just a random dude. Like, he wasn't really anybody. It was just because he was called to a police lineup because he was in an area where he looked like he could have maybe been a suspect. Yeah, and that somehow got tied up in one of those emails. And Thomas Massey read his name. Dude lost his job, lost everything. Just absolutely railroaded. That's what I'm saying. So, like, there's a way to do this and there's a way to not do it.
Right. Now, the argument on the other side is the greater good. The greater good.
Is there more to that story?
Do the ends justify the means? Type of presentation. But so quickly, before we move on to Iran, Zane, I don't disagree with you about what you're saying in that the comparison and whatnot. And I do like Massey. And just politics right now, you can't really survive unless you do the type of thing he does. So I'd rather have someone like him there. I will say that. But what's your thoughts on it, Nick?
Yeah, a lot of what's thinking. I think a lot of what you're getting at, what I'm thinking has been covered here. I think he's doing what he can to call attention to it. It's tough. Maybe, yeah. So I'm just hoping that, I'm hoping that we actually see something for real out of the, something, anything. See anyone charged. I mean, we talked last week about Lex Wexner.
And, he's a victim. He's actually a victim.
Yeah, he's a victim, and he didn't. And even though Epstein was living had a house right next to his house in Columbus, and he signed over the biggest house in New York City to him for
right. But why Epstein knows that he would not put up with that immoral behavior, so that's why he didn't know, because he would never put up with that. Lex.
Yeah, I personally, grant people power of attorney over my affairs without knowing them very well.
Yeah,
in 2007, 20 years later, I took power of attorney away from him. It's just crazy. It's all crazy. I don't mean to be too hard on Massey. I like what he does, but and the expectation for people in politics to be as nuanced and honestly as thoughtful as libertarians can be is not one that is realistic. So moving on to talking about Iran. Go ahead.
Well, it's a vicious cycle because the American people aren't prepared to listen to that level of nuance, and so the politicians don't ever give it to them. But because the people are regarded as too stupid to understand it, then they never get it, so they remain at that level of stupidity.
In the cave. So that's exactly right. It's exactly right. It's a vicious cycle of and you have the attention economy and TikTok and stuff. You can't be too nuanced on TikTok.
Like, it's not even their fault because most people, the intricacies and nuances of politics could not possibly be less related to their actual day-to-day life. And they have no interest or in some cases no capacity to understand it. So it's actually unreasonable to expect people to want or to be capable of getting into this level of detail on all of these different topics. Right. And the fact that we can makes us weird.
It's a luxury for us. It's a
very bourgeois thing, actually.
No, you're right though. It is kind of a bourgeois thing. Guys working a wage job, just trying to get by, and you're like, you mean you didn't look into the nuance of the 3 million files, you piece of shit? It's completely unreasonable. Fuck you, whatever. All right, moving on to Iran. Just in, U.S. demands Iran hand over all remaining enriched uranium. Going back to you, Zane. Oh, wait, we're going to play the clip. Let's play the clip of Bibi. I love seeing Bibi Netanyahu, one of the greatest guys,
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon.
So, look, people give Bibi Netanyahu a lot of shit, like he's a supervillain, but they often forget that for 31 years he's been warning us about Iran's nuclear weapons. And for that, we've been prepared. And we should be grateful for him. So should we finally be ready for what he's been warning us about for 31 years, the Iran nuclear weapon, Zane?
Well, whenever Bibi Netanyahu comes out, regardless of whether he sees his shadow or not, I'm 6 weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
Hey! I think the line I've heard this week was they are 1 week away at this point. Even after we critically crippled their nuclear production capability.
I have an Iran nuclear weapon clock on my wall, actually. and it changes, and that's when you need
Does
to
it reset to 0 every day?
Yeah, every day. Nothing happened. What do you think, Steven? Is there any point in time where you ever bought into this? Do you buy into it now, maybe, or just like? Why
I know because Obama was blustering when he was in office too, and that was when the inspectors came in, and it was televised, and it was on C-SPAN, and you could see, they let the inspectors in for the first time ever, and then the inspectors were even announcing that they had enriched uranium it was like 27%, something like that. So what you only need to produce power is like 5 or 6% enrichment, and then weapons grade is basically anything 90 plus, and that 5% to 90% is a drastic and intentional measure to get it to that point. So what if they keep starting and we just keep kicking the sandcastle over? Because I remember hearing stories too of we created the Stuxnet virus, or really Israel did, and we let it loose, and it was for Iran's nuclear reactors. Now what we didn't know is that it accidentally
centrifuges.
It polluted the entire internet. Sorry about that, because that was because it was linked to the Heartbleed attack that hit Home Depot and Target and Neiman Marcus back in like 2013. But because I remember hearing something too, like the centrifuges, we were attacking that, and at Iran's nuclear sites, at their nuclear power sites, it was playing AC/DC's Thunderstruck nonstop at full volume, and it played for like 9 days before they finally they just ripped all the speakers down.
At least it wasn't contemporary Christian.
Yeah, right. So, we know that we've been, some of our cyber warfare, we have been using Iran as a testing grounds. So what if they keep trying, they get less than halfway there, and we kick the sandcastle over?
Right.
That's just what I do know.
We plant a little anti-Americanism on them, like crack. Like Dave Chappelle does. You sprinkle a little anti-Americanism and hate for Christians on top of them.
Yeah, there you go.
And we say we got to kill all the Muslims.
And there's a reason they hate us, is because we keep screwing with their power plants, right?
So that's like an interesting conversation to get into right there. Is I often hear from friends of mine on the right who voted for Trump because he said that he would not get us into any more foreign wars, who are like, we need to fucking kill all the Muslims because they're coming after Christianity. And I'm like, all the Muslims?
Right?
Yeah. And it's just so interesting.
Even Mike Tyson?
Like this cult of personality, man. And it feels like obviously Bibi Netanyahu using that same bullshit appeal for 31 years at least, it is, to me, it feels a little insulting. But like we talked about a moment ago, most people aren't familiar with that. Most people are familiar with that in the context that they've seen it, which is recently, and they don't have any incentive to go research that and find out more about it. They know what they believe and they know what they hold dear. And for these appeals, these war appeals, it's Christianity, it's Americanism. And when you hear Iran is that close, they're that close, and they hate America, and they hate specifically Christians, which is something that's been roped into it. I'm telling you, there's going to be Charlie Kirk war or join the military appeals coming. They just need to prepare that audience to accept something that Charlie Kirk, he say what you will about him, and I was critical of him, but he did say he was against going into war with Iran. So they have to prepare the public to accept something that he didn't promote so that they can then organize around it. The young people.
Hell, he potentially was the one who stopped a larger scale invasion.
Perhaps. Yeah. I mean, I learned more about him after he died than I knew before. I didn't realize the level of his influence, but this all feels like war appeals to me, and the exploitation of people's kind of laser focus on those who they agree with, simply because everybody has lives they have to live. Nick, continue. You had some thoughts on this.
Yeah, well, I was going to go back there and say, yeah, Stuxnet, if you've ever really looked into that was just a fascinating virus. I mean, that thing, the computers there are air gapped. So like it got in on like a USB drive into there. And then was looking
tell us more.
Stuxnet. So it was a computer virus, or however you want to technically classify it, but it was malware, and they released it into the wild, and it was looking very specifically for these Siemens PLCs, programmable logic controllers, that they knew Iran was using, even though through sanctions somehow Iran was getting them through the back door, and that's what was controlling.
So we were trying to hack into their systems. Is that what you're saying?
So it wasn't even we needed to hack in. The virus was programmed. So the virus hit like a huge portion of computers connected to across the world. Like anything, like it got its way into everything, but it was made to not do anything unless it detected it was in one of these PLCs. Okay. And then when it
was this the thing Obama spoke about, where he said we have like landmines planted all over their cyber infrastructure that we can blow off at any point in time?
It was probably something like that. And so, because they knew the computers were air gapped, so they just had to wait for someone to plug something in there, break the security. They plug it in, it finds the PLC, and instead of like shutting it down, it very subtly changes the speed at which the centrifuges are rotating, which then cause stress on the centrifuges and cause them to break more often.
And what does that result in for the people of Iran?
Well, that was basically a way of like sneakily breaking their infrastructure, and you only caught it whenever you looked at the trends and saying, hey, we were replacing at this rate, why are we replacing at that rate now? Like it was this very subtle, like, we're going to bleed the program dry by causing you to have to go out there and get these PLCs that you can't get because you're sanctioned and you're somehow getting it backdoor. But now you're going to have to work harder and pay a whole lot more money to get this equipment back in through there. So that was fascinating.
Almost, it sounds
like. Almost. And then, you talk about Iran's nuclear program, but then, everyone forgets the Israeli nuclear program, which I only bring up because
I'm cutting you off. Say we're going to go to you. Shut the fuck
up. That's funny because the site they took that from is right across the river from where my mom grew up. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, like that's up here. So yeah, it's like right across.
Israel
the river
does
from my
nothing to
house.
like people who defend Israel. They do nothing to help them. They don't. They're like, if you're a spokesperson for them, they're like, we're going to make it as difficult for you as possible all the time. And I'm someone who I'm not like, I don't blame everything on Israel, the Jews. I think it's like once you start doing that, if everything is racism, nothing is racism. If everything is anti-Semitism, nothing is anti-Semitism. If Israel did everything, Israel did nothing. It's like #MeToo. the way that they present that. So without the nuance and even if you there's an inclination to blame them, like it's going to actually benefit those who could be guilty of things if you're always accusing them, because the investigation will lose credibility in many people's minds. And Bibi Netanyahu seems to be shameless in everything that he does, and he helps no one. But like Iran, it's just so, I don't know. I've never been to Iran. I started researching it because I was curious. Does every Iranian spend most of their days protesting, screaming death to America? Because I thought that's a weird way for people to survive. You know, do they not have I've actually told some of my conservative friends that. I said, I think that maybe they have jobs and lives like us and they're trying to survive, and that they probably don't really care about international politics, and to brand every Iranian, which it's not a cave and they're not throwing rocks. There's a technological structure there that in many ways is more advanced than us. Maybe some radicals, but is it fair to like, it's such a difficult thing. What are your thoughts on that whole thing? Should we fear the Iranian nuclear buildup, and just your reaction to the clip, Zane?
Oh yes, thank you. As you well know, I only go when I'm introduced.
I know you told me that last time, and I make sure.
Yeah. So, the extent to which your average Iranian hates America is vastly overstated. You know, it's pretty well known, at least in libertarian circles, how after 9/11, the Iranian public had like huge vigils, being like, "This is terrible that this happened to you."
Fucking dog.
And like, and like trying to like show, compassion for the United
compassion.
States.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
And so like, and you'll also hear like the same people saying how Iran is filled with a bunch of people that hate the U.S. Then they'll turn right around and say, "Oh well, if we go in there, we'll be greeted as liberators. Iran is so ready to become a secular democracy." Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's like you've got to pick one. Either they hate America or they love America. It can't be both. And then also, in terms of if we should be afraid of their nuclear program, obviously not. Yeah. I mean, unless Stephen's little theory about kicking over their sandcastle over and over again is true, the reason why they want to have kind of the uranium that's enriched beyond what they technically need for their energy program, but not anywhere even close to what you need for weapons grade uranium, is just as a latent deterrent. It's like, hey, look, we technically might possibly be able to do this, so don't mess with us, because they've seen what has happened to other countries that have not been nuclear armed, and the U.S. has overthrown a bunch.
Don't give a shit. You'll sprinkle coke on them and fentanyl.
So they feel like the only way to prevent the U.S. from overthrowing them is to have at least some kind of nuclear deterrent, which you can hardly blame them for. But also, when you're at the 27% enrichment, you're a lot farther than 6 weeks away from weapons grade uranium. You're at least 31 years still multiple years away.
Yeah.
And it's something that could not be done without us finding out that they were doing it long before it was actually ever able to be put onto a nuke. Because the other thing is they don't have the long range missile capabilities to even deliver the nukes, even if they had them. Yeah. So there's lots of barriers between us and being nuked by Iran that we just don't need to concern ourselves with it in a way that will cause any problem that would to just get even worse.
And yet there's many people
but the 51st state is within
for anti-war who are convinced that they're right there and we have to strike first, and they'll get very emotional about it because of the framing around Christianity. And Epstein, there was a story about how he had people hiding cameras in Kleenex boxes, and it's like, we don't know what's going on with Iran's nuclear program. Give me a break. We got the Kleenex box cameras. Okay, let's get the Epstein cameras over there. We'll look at it. The religious battle over that is definitely one that can be exploited, and well,
we really got into this back in July. But this whole interpretation of Christianity that demands that you see the state of Israel as a continuation of like Old Testament Israel is, I'm not going to call it heretical, but let's call it heterodox. No one in the first 1800 years of church history ever believed that. And it wasn't until like late 19th, early 20th century America where you start getting interpretations of the Bible like that. And it's the only reason that you could come to a conclusion. It's like the state of Israel demands our unwavering support regardless of what they do, because it's just been the consensus of every major theologian for almost all of church history that, you know, the church is the new Israel. Like God's people is, you know, Christ is the head of the church, and that, you know, is it obviously incorporates the Israel of the Old Testament, but it also brings all the Gentiles into it too. So to identify Israel of the Old Testament with a political nation state founded in 1945 is not something that any theologian would have endorsed until very recently.
That's interesting. So Edward Bernays, and he does these speeches, and these people have read many of his books, but he gave a lot of speeches back in his day. Edward Bernays is a propagandist, the nephew of Freud. He was a propagandist for 50 years for many presidents and big business. And he lived to be like 110 years old, was very decrepit. For some reason, this guy kept going. He was asked, according to him in a speech he gave, he was asked to sell to the, I think it was the UN, whatever the international body was at the time. He was asked to help them sell through a speech, and it was one of the original prime ministers of Israel to help, as a woman, to help her sell the state of Israel idea. And he said that he first went, he said, in full disclosure, I first went to our government and said, is it okay if I help them? And they were like, we're not going to tell you can't, but it was like a wink, wink, you can type of thing. And that's just information to consider. I don't know what it means, but I was researching him recently, and that came up. And I was like, I had no idea that the person they went to, of course they're going to go to him. He's the great salesman of those post-World War I and World War II days. And Zionism is something that, like, a lot of people that I know, I'd never heard them say that word ever until the past couple of years. And now that it's a fully embrace that word. And then there's people on the other side of Christianity who aren't. Kurt Cameron, the guy from the guy who did
Left Behind.
What are the movies called? Yeah. So he's kind of flipped on his position with his interpretation of the Bible. It's interesting. I don't know the answer to any of that. I find it all fascinating, but also vulnerable to exploitation. Stephen, I think you have some thoughts on this. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. So it's just wrapping it all up in terms of, like, you know, we have to defend Christianity. It's frustrating that these people don't read history books or even just do a quick Google search. When was the last time the Persian Empire was the aggressor in anything? It was 200 years ago. Just a heads up. Now, you know, they are the number one nation.
was still saying, watch out for the Iranian.
Right. Yeah. You know, they are, like, you know, the number one state sponsor of terrorism. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Because that's the only way they can really operate, because they don't really have their powers so split up that, you know, that they're crippled. They don't really have anything. They tried to create an ICBM. I remember this during the Obama years, because there was like some video that Ayatollah Khomeini did something talking about, you know, we're going to eradicate the great Satan, and watch this missile, and like didn't even make it 500 miles. I mean, just crap technology. They're just not there. And even when Obama was in office, that whole hostage situation that was such a, I mean, they just made such a mistake with how that was handled. And then they wound up giving him $2 billion in palletized cash. You remember all that? Mm-hmm. And they got one of our stealth drones. It was like the top of the line. It was like the next gen drone. You know, it was still beta testing. And somehow they got that. And they're like, oh, we're going to reverse engineer it. It's like, no, you're not, because you can't even enrich uranium, which we did, by the way, 80 years ago.
Right.
You know,
Trump's uncle probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because Trump's uncle was the one that took Nikola Tesla's
He
blueprint.
got Tesla's papers.
Yeah.
And he said
Yeah.
Trump's even talked about that too. So.
Right. So, you know, I don't buy it that they're that big of a threat. Now, what they could do, you know, if they had some kind of a splinter cell, you know, our society is so open and free, which is, you know, that's one of the great selling points, but that's also our vulnerability. That's also our weakness. And that's, you know, that's what would be exploited. That's what is exploitable is, you know, we like to come together and party. We love to have large gatherings. You know, we have our bread and circuses, you know, with our football and baseball and all and concerts and all that kind of stuff. There's so many opportunities to disrupt our way of life with just a, you know, simple action. You don't have to do it with people keep thinking of warfare these days of like some armies they're going to come get us. They're going to land ships on our shores. They're going to fly airplanes overhead. No, that's done. No one's touching us in that sphere. It's not even worth trying. It's like that will still be an element once everything's kicked off. But, you know, they're going to come poison the water supply if they're really going to come after us. You know,
the tallow back in the steak and shake fries.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But like cut the grid, stuff like you're exactly right. So it's the warfare of the future of today is different than the warfare that that's pictured in our minds from what history has taught us about.
Well, and why would you destroy our infrastructure? We have some of the greatest infrastructure in the world, as crappy as it is in some cities. It's still, you know, aside from some countries in Europe, we have great infrastructure. Why would you blow that up? It's just it's dumb. And now, you know, a lot of the cities, the water lines need to be replaced. You know, they got the old lead pipes and everything. But, you know, aside from that, our roads, our bridges, our buildings, like they're good designs. It's, you know, they need to be maintained a little better. But, you know, that's a whole different debate. But, I mean, just do a quick search. You know, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, look at, you know, municipal water supply, cyber attack. It's happening and it's been happening. That's the one exploitable thing. Our power grid. You know, there's like 9 major power stations in the country. 6 of them are on the internet. So, you know, we have vulnerabilities, but it's not.
They cut the wires, like somebody cuts the wires in the bottom of the ocean quite frequently, and it takes people out. Zane, you had a reaction.
I was just going to say, you heard it here first, guys. The warfare of the future is turning the frogs gay.
Oh, dude, that's a lot. Frogs. A frog captures you. You can't escape it.
There you go.
You'll bottom out to a frog. It's no, it's interesting to think about. Just like it just everything is sensationalized to a point where that reality doesn't really come to fruition. There could be a version of it, but oftentimes it seems like when you look at history that version of it comes to fruition because the propaganda convinced the public to beg for it, and it's bad things do happen. There are threats. And so it's a tough balance. It's a tough balance to make. So I think we're going to get to the drunkard of the day. Is that what we're doing, Zach?
Drunkard of the week.
Drunkard of the week, not the day, the week.
Play the drop.
I am not fucking drunk.
Long 19th or blue.
Every pretty girl deserves to go to a ball.
This is everything about it's a clam. I love it.
I gotta be honest with you, I feel like I'm a little bit too drunk to stand up.
On Beatles Day, asshole.
I'm drunk right now.
Poop when you climb.
You just pee and poop.
You shit your pants?
I've never actually shit in my pants, but I've had a lot of like serious emergencies while rock climbing. Yeah, you just like freaking go. But you're in nature, so it doesn't matter. You just make sure you're not impacting other climbers.
You just let it run down your leg? Like when you're at a public pool, kind of?
No, a little different. But there have been some drastic. I mean, there's been like one-handed hanging off the side of a cliff taking a dump.
You've done that?
Yeah, a couple times. I mean, when things go sideways.
So you were doing what Tom Cruise is doing in Mission Impossible 2, but you were dropping a number 2?
Yeah, a couple times. I mean, you know, when it happens, it happens. Well, it's better than pooping your pants. I think I had Giardia for one of them.
We want to be free to do what we want to do. Yeah. We want to get loaded. Yeah. And we want to have a good time.
Arnold Hex, the drunkard. That sounds like a probiotic ad to me. You want to be regular. You want to be able to drop one off of that. We rock climbing. Take this probiotic. I don't know who that guy is, but
he's the guy that the free solo guy.
Yeah.
What's free solo?
You
So
know,
he
the
doesn't use any
documentary
ropes or harnesses or anything. It's just him and his hands, and he
Oh,
climbs.
he just climbs. Oh God! So
He did the skyscraper live a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
in
was that on
Taipei
Netflix?
101.
The big thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, well, the benefit of not using any ropes is that it's easier to pull your pants down.
That's why he doesn't use ropes. It's not even the safety. It's like the probiotics are so effective. You need to buy these probiotics, right? That's probably. I guarantee you, this guy sells probiotics. He'd be stupid not to after this.
Yeah. Where will you be when diarrhea strikes?
Right.
Hanging
Like,
off the side
what
of
a
the door.
great ad for like, you know, are you feeling constipated? And they show somebody rock climbing, like, oh, and then it's like, and this guy comes on, he's like, you know, these probiotics, doesn't matter. Somebody at the bottom of it, it just kills them, because a penny will kill somebody from that high. There's no telling whatever's inside.
I think what's even worse. I think what's even worse than like it falling, you know, that it being hit there is like it lands on a ledge somewhere below him, but not all the way down. And someone else later on, in the day, a couple days later, comes climbing up there and grabs onto that ledge.
No.
Yeah, or it hits a Muslim and starts World War III. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Do you guys think he's being serious about that, or is that just like another?
Oh no, he's for real. I've seen a documentary with him in it where him and one of his friends, they went all over, you know, BANF in Canada, you know, free climbing, and that dude's like a hippie. He's all about being outside all the time.
I don't know why it made me think of Houdini, but I learned recently that Houdini used to go to like parties and events for free often to debunk and disprove bullshitters simply because he liked it. And I was like, yeah, I have a respect for Houdini that I mean, I liked him before, but like, because he's so good at all that, he can point all that stuff out. And props to Houdini for that. I have no idea what that connection in my mind made.
Well, another thing that Harry Houdini liked to do was just let people punch him, and that was actually how
he died.
Because someone punched him so hard that it like knocked his internal organs out of place, and he died.
Right, you gotta be a UFC fighter today. You know, he'd be killing people on a giant monster can, and 80,000 other. Do you guys watch UFC?
Oh yeah, well, not much anymore. Not since Adesanya retired, basically. That was like
it's interesting to watch for sure. I've never seen so many ads in my life. Like as soon the guy gets his face punched in, his eyeballs hanging out. He's almost dead, and they're like, "Hold this monster can," and he's just like standing right there.
Yeah, I'm glad Joe Rogan pushed back on that too, because there were so many years where they made him interview a guy right after he got knocked out.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Let's look at this highlight reel and tell me what you think."
Brutal,
and somebody was like, "Yeah, I got my ass beat. Can I go home? I need to sleep."
I know you got to drink this monster, and it's like bread and circuses to the peak, and I'm totally into it. Like it's so entertaining, and just you watch some of these fights, and it's like they're literally gonna kill the guy if the referee doesn't jump in quick enough.
Yeah,
and the crowd only gets excited when it reaches that point. If they're wrestling, they're like, "Boo, kill him!"
Yeah, or when they're rolling around, snap his ankle off.
Right,
break his leg,
and then so you got this guy named the Palestinian Prince, who's actually from Chicago, but whose family in the distant past is from Palestine. But they make these intro narratives where they build up the drama through these commercials and the pre-fights, where it looks like it's like, oh my God, we got Israel versus Palestine coming to the main stage tonight. This is crazy, you know. And it's like a guy from Chicago, New York, but they just kind of. It's storytelling to its peak, but it's like everything just promotes that division. And
I'm excited to see what they put together for July 4th.
Is that the one they're doing at the White House?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's gonna be
the Lincoln Memorial.
Yes,
That's crazy, dude. That's so crazy.
Oh, Sean
all right, the
Strickland's
fun
gonna go
cooker.
nuts.
What's the fun cooker? I have no idea.
We just play funny videos to end the show.
What happened there? I didn't see. I saw the kid got
So he
upset.
said, "How I knew when someone was a supervillain." So he acted like he died, and one kid's like, "Oh no," and the other one's like, "Yes."
Oh my God! Yeah. Now get rid of that kid. You guys have kids, Steven, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
How
got
many
a
kids you got?
9-year-old and 2-year-old.
Have you ever tried this trick?
Yeah.
What happened?
And they go up and kick me to see if I'm actually. Yeah.
You got to kick them back. They got to, you know. What is it? Not to go too deep into it. Do you think about how? So like, my parents were wonderful, and they, you know, they would take care of me if I was in a problem situation, but they, you know, they'd also teach lessons. It feels like in society right now, though, that whole message of what is it like? I'm going to butcher it, but it's where everybody's prosperous, it creates weak men. And then when it's like wartime, it creates strong and tough men. That's the extreme of it. But do you think about that type of thing when you're disciplining your kids?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's some things that happen that, you know, there's some days where it's on the days when everything's great. Everything's perfect. And I just see, you know, everybody's having a good time. We're all playing. And that's when I really think, I'm like,
yeah.
Do you know what hard times are like, little kid?
Yeah, that's when you hit them, right?
You're having too good of a time right now.
right. Yeah, but like that's like I have to prepare you for toughness. You know, like.
Now imagine that's difficult. You know.
Yeah. Well, because later on I want to be your friend.
Yeah.
You know, like we're supposed to be friends later, but right now.
Like the urge to when they're crying upset to like be like no, but try to refrain and be stern and teach the lessons. Got to be
different. Yeah. Right now, I've got to drag you through the weeds and toughen you up, and then after you know become your own man and gone out in the world and done something and conquered that toughness, now we're friends.
Yeah.
Oh, conquering the toughness. You should talk to Lindsey Graham about that.
There's no toughness I can't conquer. How does Lindsey Graham keep winning office? It's baffling.
He's got leverage.
We need to nuke South Carolina, I think.
It's about the only reasonable option at this point.
It's just like, but it's an illustration of just if anybody with a little bit of a money and name recognition runs for office, he can win. I mean, Nancy Mace is a congresswoman. Boebert's a congresswoman. This is absurd.
Jasmine Crockett,
the ultimate code switcher, by the way. The other day, I was listening to I had CNN on the background. I can't remember what they were asking about. Oh, they were asking about the Epstein thing. And I heard someone go, I said, no, the Epstein amazing survivors. And I was like, who is this white sorority bitch? And I turned around, it's Jasmine Crockett. I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit, white face. I mean, it might as well, because it was such extreme and it was impressive. To call all the victims amazing too is something. Victimization doesn't make someone amazing. Some of them are probably amazing in what they've done, but Hitler was a victim of World War I. I bet she doesn't call him amazing. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's just such rhetoric to get people to just see things in a certain way, and then. Like, if only she could teach Gavin Newsom a thing or two, you know?
Yeah. Hey, guys, I have a 900 credit score, just like you.
And they're laughing about that was here in Atlanta with the mayor. He went to Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Right. And so they did research on this, and they actually found like the average score of the demographic they were trying to appeal to, because he's doing a book tour, but he's also testing his presidential campaign talking points. And so he was given these talking points. He just delivers them in the most wealthy, white, idiot, privileged way. Like if you're talking to somebody, you go, you know, I've overcome a lot of things, and I didn't do good on my SAT at all. I got a 940. I have dyslexia. It's hard for me to read things on the screen. I have overcome, and yet I've still survived, which is like a message that can be inspiring to people who can relate to him. But he's like, I'm dumb like you. And the guy next to him is laughing, he's black, but he went to Georgia Tech, so he obviously is very smart. And it's just like crazy that he's still going to get so much support and money.
Oh, yeah. But oddly enough, a guy named Stephen Hilton is beating him in the polls right now.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm about to kill him probably.
Yeah, right.
All right. So are we to wrap it up? I want to get everybody's closing thoughts. So I'm always, the whole time I do the show to fill in for Jake, because filling in for Jake is like, that's a mountain nobody should be tasked with climbing. Like, you can never reach that ever. And I just hope to be a serviceable messenger and facilitator of the show. And so I always worry that I talk too much, which I think I probably do. But I want to get y'all's final thoughts on everything. Zane, let's start with you.
My final thoughts on
just on everything, whatever you want to say.
Wow. What do I want to
general,
say?
Whatever.
Brush your teeth.
It's a good fucking advice right there.
Yeah.
I got 940. I couldn't afford a toothbrush. My family couldn't afford a toothbrush, just like you guys.
Oh yes, thank you, Zach, for putting up my website. My campaign to be the next Fulton County Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor is still on. I've got the signatures I need. Unless they throw out too many of them, my name will be on the ballot. So go to voteplacey.com.
Dude, how long have you been running for this office?
I announced in December.
And so we did. So this is what I'm talking about with libertarians. The last time we did a show, I had no idea that you were running for office until now. Like, promote the fuck out of that shit, dude. I don't know who you're running against, but let's get you up there. Like, I would trust you. I don't know what the duties are, but you got good intentions. I would trust you over whoever you're running against. And like, let's get the word out, man. Let's get you to win. I'll help any way I can. And that's great, man. I'm glad you're doing that. Yeah, everybody support Zane. Steven, you going to support Zane or what? Send him some money.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I can send you at least $3.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I'm not currently taking campaign donations because if I start doing that, it's way too much paperwork.
In tax filings and scrutiny, actually, they will come like that. That's the way they get libertarians is once you get legit, then they can do campaign finance laws to find a way to screw you. And it is crazy how as soon as a libertarian starts to get a little bit of attention or go after something, that's the best way to unite the Republicans and Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. Yeah, but seriously, though, that's I think that is such a great thing to do, especially for people who feel that, they feel frustrated with politics in America. And maybe they have their attention drawn to the national level because the power is at the local level. And that's actually, they know that. They can co-opt shit. And so if you want to stop shit from being co-opted and help good things happen, then run for office when, you have the skills and the ability. And I believe in you, dude. You're smart. You're great. That makes me so happy to hear that. Steven, go ahead and give your final thoughts. What are you running for?
I'm running for the buffet line, and I just want to say
Stacey Abrams.
I do think that a lot of this stuff is a distraction. I mean, the Epstein files, yes, we do that needs to be thoroughly reviewed, and those people need to be prosecuted. But the way it's being handled right now, it's all like a Jerry Springer show to me right now.
Yes, dude.
Now they're bringing the Clintons into it. Do you honestly think that they're going to start that domino effect of prosecuting former presidents? Because hey, let's get Bush, Obama, Clinton. Let's get all the ones that are still alive. Let's get them all.
Your terms are acceptable.
Well, sure, right?
That's the UFC fight right there.
Yeah, right. Iran with uranium, like none of that should take your focus off the fact that the dollar is being debased. The conventional wisdom, the conventional methods of wealth creation, generational wealth creation, are all being jeopardized, and the rules are changing. I'm not going to say only buy Bitcoin, but that needs to be part of what you're doing, because you need to start thinking right now, hey, what's happening here? Because they're trying to find something. They're trying to take your attention off of things right now because they're trying to find a way to prop this thing up. But we know it's a dead man walking. So, I would follow the money. Follow the actual money. What's happening to it?
Yeah. Which people you can get you're dealing with all the struggles you have in your everyday life, and the people who are wealthy can exploit that. When Bitcoin is gone very low, it's I don't want to say crash because it follows this pattern as it has since it was created, and if it continues to follow that, it will go up again. But I think myself included, it's difficult to understand. But the people who are wealthy, they are in a position where they can be like, it doesn't matter if it goes to zero. I can buy in and continue buying in, and I will continue to profit, while the rest of people who've gotten in, maybe trying to explore it, they might end up selling everything for fear of it going to zero. And it's like you weed all the people out who could be benefiting from it. So that message of like, yeah, put in as much to stuff like that you can afford, and just don't listen to the bullshit. Just whatever you can do on the side, this type of shit is exactly where they're trying to funnel the money. It's not financial advice, but like when you see all these fucking people and you see these crypto shit coins being made by presidents and by people in power, and they're rug pulling people, the market's not going to disappear. It's not going to disappear. They're buying into it, and it's this narrative, and there's so much bullshit in the world that it can confuse people. Don't put all your money in crypto ever.
Right.
But it might be worth adding it to your portfolio a little bit at a time. It's kind of the way that I think about it. Nick, you also are running for office, correct?
Not public office, internal LP office, but
right.
yeah.
But still, that's you're running for a position where you can exert some influence, and whatever position you run from, you are going to subject yourself to attacks from those who don't want you to win. So credit to you for doing that. Final thoughts, and you should tell everybody what position you're running for and how they can support you.
Yeah. So I'm the plan right now is I'm running for vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, and what I support is if you're a member of the party, it's too late to join and come out and vote. But if you're a member, come on out and vote. It's in Bucks County out near Philadelphia, March 20th to the 22nd, whatever, coming up next month. So, that'll be a good time. And if you're not a member and you're in the area, Scott Horton's going to be speaking one of the evenings. So, come stop by and support that and see Scott.
What would the position entail if you were to win? What would your responsibilities be?
So a large part of it is focused on, vice chair is usually kind of like a throwaway role. Like you're kind of like just back up to the chair of the party. But also the way it's written is like vice chair really kind of focuses internally and is kind of in charge of sort of all of the committees and all the stuff that's going on internally, and kind of is there to manage and guide that process, which I've been trying to do from outside of that position over the past couple of years. So I might as well go for it, take that, and try to actually turn that position into one that's and kind of do it the right way. Do it the right way and get things set up the right way, and hopefully get a little bit of movement, because it's all volunteer work. Everything anyone does in there is volunteer work. We don't have the money or the resources to have paid staff doing all the grunt work, or even all the fun stuff. You don't have people, so there's a lot of just grinding and a lot of time and effort people put into things, and there has to be some return on that investment for people. And
it's
that's
a thankless
one thing.
job, and so the efforts need to be rewarded for a unified purpose. Especially when libertarianism is targeted with such attacks and co-option from the outside. And I hate to extend this when I'm probably not supposed to, but you guys know far more about this than me. I am curious. Are you on? Is Pennsylvania? Are the libertarians, they have ballot access in Pennsylvania?
To some extent. So it's not the way it is with Georgia, where like you had state level access. That they were just running on for years. You hit a certain amount, that's what it is. There's a complicated formula on how so in Pennsylvania, so Georgia, they have political parties, which are the Democrats and Republicans, and then everything else is political bodies, and then you kind of get access if you hit the certain requirements there. Pennsylvania, we have the major parties, the minor parties, and then there's political bodies. And right now, so the major parties, Democrats and Republicans. Minor party is, to the best of my knowledge, just us. There may be like a break-off party, like people who used to be LP members that went and started their own thing, and they may have pulled it off. but I don't think it counts in a judicial election. It's very, very up in the air on that, and that's probably gonna have to be brought up to Harrisburg and get an official opinion. But so we don't get automatic access onto the ballot. From that, we have to petition onto the ballot. It's not super crazy for the governor race. It's going to be like 5,000 signatures across the state. It's not crazy. And like state rep is like 300 to 500 signatures. It's not a crazy requirement.
I would love to continue this conversation next time we're all able to do a show together. I think I'm going to fill in for Jake next month, but I would love to hear more about that, because I don't like political parties as an idea, but the best people I know are libertarians, and like you guys, and I feel there's often an effort to kind of give you guys the shaft, and so I would love to learn more about those obstacles and how we can come up with some ways to overcome them and get some attention to them, and maybe next time we'll talk about that. Thanks for letting me host and putting up with my I'm erratic and I'm a little I'm not Jake at all. Jake is like a measure. Jake is a machine. Okay. Happy birthday to Jake. And thank you for inviting me, and love you guys. Thank you, Zach, for handling all of the producing, and everybody in the chats. You guys have a fantastic rest of y'all's evening. We'll do it again soon.